welcome to Fishing with Odd Bait, a podcast about a life without definitive expectations, where we help people explode into their life through full impact mindfulness. There's no admission fee, only the honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness to try. If you're welcome nowhere else, you're welcome here. So, let's have a little chat tonight. And as always, I'm joined by my good friend, the producer and co-host of this program, Mr. Mike. Mr. Mike, of all the substances on Earth that people abuse, can you possibly name for me the one that people abuse the most?
Oh, it has to be time, right?
Absolutely. Of all the substances in the world, people abuse the most is time. So how often is time referred to in a positive way when people speak to each other?
It's always in that finite resource that you don't have enough of, it seems, right?
I'm running out of time. There isn't enough time. I wish I had more time. So once again, tell me about one of your heroes, Mike. Who's a hero of yours?
Creatively, I admire, of course, the creatives of your Kurt Cobains, your Trent Reznors, your Todd McFarlane, famous for the Spawn comic book series, actually.
Yes, okay.
Like that's probably what we're probably thinking mostly as far as inspirational, quote unquote heroes.
So it sounds like they've accomplished quite a bit. They accomplished a lot.
Well, in most cases, media, empires and Trent Reznor's the name that did the music on Soul.
Uh-huh.
If you didn't know that, well, some of it, of course, John Baptiste did a good bit of it, but between the two of them,
Well, the point here, Mike, is they accomplished so much, and how many hours do they have in a day?
24.
And how many do you have, Mike?
24.
So give me a reason that some people accomplish so much more in their life with the same exact amount of time that you have.
Yeah, it's just a different use of their time, isn't it? They use that time to get good at drawing and writing stories, or get good at the music that is their passion.
We're inconsistent with our time.
Mm-hmm.
We're always delaying our happiness, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
And how many times do we say, we've all talked about tomorrow being the most dangerous word in the English language. When will you start? I'll start that tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And procrastination is probably one of the greatest time wasters on earth. And one of the reasons why people procrastinate, Mike, is because there's no immediate return to the project. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So you're working on a paper, you're cleaning the house, you're doing a class. There's no immediate rewards. And we've quite often, you and I have talked about the importance of rewarding yourself, because most changes in life are incremental.
Mm-hmm.
And we have quick forgetters. And if we don't get an immediate result, say, screw it.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, there's a big instance of, man, I've always wanted to do this. And I was like, well, maybe there's a desire. Maybe there's a grass is always greener. But if you really, really wanted to do that, or have been a person that was doing that sort of thing, you probably would have been doing it.
So when everyone's born, they have time. They're given some time.
Mm-hmm.
And the beautiful thing about time is that it's yours to choose how to spend. Most people believe they don't have those type of choices.
Mm-hmm.
However, Mike, they do. And what I'm asking everyone out there tonight is to not delay their happiness. Don't delay your happiness. Not avoid the what ifs and maybes. Or one of the things I hear people so much is, I'll know when the time is right.
Mm-hmm.
I'll know when that moment comes. I'm working this hard, so when I retire, I can enjoy my life. That how many years are you squandering before you enjoy your life?
Any of that can stop at any time, with circumstances outside your control. Everything can stop with, I got hit by a bus tomorrow.
Here's a point that I'm going to make. Here's something that I'd really love. is I'd like to go into a cemetery, and I enjoy walking through cemeteries,
Mhm.
looking at the different epitaphs and the people. And I'd like to walk into a cemetery sometime in the future and have on every tombstone an epitaph, at least one epitaph on the tombstone saying no regrets.
Mhm.
No regrets.
Mhm.
So often what I ask people is, what would you do if your life was different? Tell me about some things you complain about. Tell me about some of the negative things in your life. And then I'm going to ask you, what would you do if those things weren't in your life? How would you spend your time?
Some of the negative things in my life that are taking my time
Yes.
up. Oh, well, I can tell you I hated commuting, and now I don't have to worry about commuting too much anymore with my situation. Things that still bother me in my life, things like running to the post office, things like having to take the time to make dinner, take out the trash, I suppose. A meeting that I think is maybe unnecessary. Things of that nature.
Okay. So, how do rich people get richer? They do what with their money?
They maximize it.
They
They
maximize it
maximize it.
through investment.
Yes.
Through investment. So, how many wise business people do you think would invest in something that had little or no return?
Mm. Mm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the whole thing is an accumulation of all those investments paying off.
And in the same way, our most valuable asset, our most exquisite item that we possess is our time. And
Hmm.
the beauty of it is how are you going to invest your time?
Is this a I should stop watching so much Netflix idea or?
Business people talk about ROI all the time, return on investment. So you'd
Hmm.
have to ask yourself, what's the return on this investment?
So this is an interesting thing I've done because, as you know, I've turned my attention to things that I am passionate about and figuring out ways that they can earn an income. So I've actually, we know I do stuff about technology and pro wrestling, correct?
Yes.
So now the things that I would look at as entertainment have an ROI. But if watching this documentary on Tiger King does nothing but entertain you for the bit, I mean, that is your ROI, is that entertainment. Do you need that? Do you need to separate from everything else?
Yes. So, or however, are you investing your time in situations uh, that you're using for procrastination?
Yeah. Are you avoiding that thing that you want to do in procrastination? So this is interesting because we talk about this idea about procrastination, and there's the idea. I know I hear other podcasts that talk about productivity a lot, and this, I think I said it earlier. If this is something you really wanted to do and really desired to do, you would just be doing it by now, right? So where does that fall into the procrastination idea?
Well, give me a reason that people invest their time in things that they don't want to do.
Maybe a feeling of responsibility to others, to fill the time with things for them.
Well, how about this, Mike? Has anyone ever approached you and said, "Hey, could I have a moment of your time?
Mm.
Could I have a moment of your time?" How about this? The next time somebody says to you, "Hey, could I have a moment of your time, Mike?" I'd like you to ask them, "How are you going to give it back?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
How are
What?
you going to give it back?"
Absolutely, absolutely. There's a reason when you oh, I can't get a meeting with so and so to pitch them this thing, and it's like, well, is that really helping them? So many people are interested. If you are trying to reach somebody like one of these business professionals, and I need to figure out how to get their ear. It's like, well, they're not going to do anything that doesn't have a return on investment. We've already talked about.
ROI, return on
Yes.
investment.
So stop talking about what they can do for you and talk about what you can do for them, which by the way also helps you.
Absolutely. So we've talked about this before. However, most people, even as generous as most people are, get weary of people constantly asking them for money. Okay. But how many people are like that person. Could I have a moment of your time?
Mm-hmm.
Could you do this? People are constantly asking us for our most non-renewable resource. And our most non-renewable resource is time.
Mm-hmm.
There are many money billionaires, many money millionaires. There are no time millionaires.
No.
There are none. And the current of time is strong, Mike. It only moves in one direction. So when I hear people talk about when I retire, I'm going to be able to relax. When I retire, I'm looking forward to my retirement when I can live my life. What? How many years are you squandering before then?
Mm-hmm. And if that's your mindset now, is that really going to carry over when you quote unquote have nothing to do? I mean, I've seen those that have retired and tell me about all the stuff they need to do around the house, all of the stuff that feeding the animals and this and oh, we're going to do this with the backyard and stuff. And now that becomes your next, like you put another goalpost in front of you after you've accomplished that one that you've worked on for 30 years, 40 years, whatever that lands.
Is there any guarantee that you're going to live until retirement age?
No.
Is there any guarantee that you're going to be in good enough health to enjoy your retirement?
Mm-hmm. What if something happens that you got this idea of I want to walk on the beach in Florida and do all this, and I was like, well, what if your hip went out when you're 45? And now
Yes.
you're dealing with that for the rest of your life. What
Well,
if you got in a non-fatal car accident and now there's something nagging for that?
now, as a matter of transparency, I'll have to let people know that I also deal with procrastination also. However, I had a wonderful mentor, and his name was Dr. Safdar Chandra,
Mm-hmm.
and he knew about my little quirks. And he would every day, I'd sit and stop and talk to him, and he'd say, "What's on your plate today, Jim?" "Oh, I've got to write this letter. I've got to do this. This is something that is required to be done." And then he'd say, "Well, kind of smile. He'd say, "We play this game every day." He'd tell me, Jim, when are you going to accomplish these things?" And I would say, "Well, this I can wait until tomorrow. This I can do that." And I can still see him with his finger on his desk saying, "Right now, Jim. Right now. Right now." However, what was special about him was he'd say, "Right now, and I'll help you. I'll help you do it. I will help you."
Wow.
So again, when I'm constantly ask people, do not put off your happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Your life is in front of you right now.
Mm-hmm.
The tattoos that we have, I'm right here. It's right now. Just talk about mindfulness is not sitting on a flying carpet wandering around in nirvana, okay? Or having rainbows and butterflies walking through your life in eternal bliss, all right? Mindfulness, to me anyway, is nothing more than paying attention on purpose, having a mind of awareness. And if you have a mind of awareness and you're right here and right now, you can choose how to spend your most valuable currency, and that's your time.
So let me ask you this, because I'm sure as people are hearing this, there's some out there that feel they can't make room for that happiness now. And for example, I'm thinking about somebody who I if I still need to work this hard to pay the bills and take care of somebody else, whether it be a child or an elderly care situation. They feel stuck in that position and don't feel like there's time for their happiness.
Well, then they're feeling that they have to do those things, Mike.
Mm-hmm,
And when we do
mm-hmm.
it, have to do something, then we're removing ourselves from choices. However, is taking care of a child or taking care of a grandparent or doing those things a valuable use of your most valuable currency? Yeah. And you mentioned earlier, is binge watching The Walking Dead on Netflix for 8 hours? Is that a wise investment of your time? I think perhaps you may get a better return on investment in caring for a child than watching 8 hours of Walking Dead.
There you go. There you go.
Yes.
And hopefully you find yourself like you can still navigate and find some happiness in what you need to do, right? Or hopefully the taking care of the child, hoping you have some happy moments, so you're spending some time with the child.
Well, certainly. So people say, well, it's only a minute, it's only an hour, uh, it's only a few milliseconds. So if you consider the importance of an hour, how about somebody that missed a train? Okay. Or if you're thinking about somebody that says it's only a millisecond, talk to the person who finished second in the Olympic Games. Or if somebody a woman has a premature birth, talk to her about the importance of 2 weeks. Discuss that, how meaningful time is. Okay.
Interesting.
Absolutely. So when we put it in those perspectives, it gives us a different view of it. Okay. 5 minutes. What's 5 minutes? Oh, 5 minutes. Well, talk to somebody who just missed a bus about 5 minutes. Okay. So all your time is valuable, and I'm imploring everyone not to put off your happiness. Not to put off your happiness. And what are some of the things in life you regret, Mike? Do you regret much?
There's a few things.
Yes.
I think wasn't I just telling you about how I regretted some of my early business decisions?
Yes.
And how many years I may have lost to them, making some of the wrong ones.
Okay.
I mean, I guess that's a regret, because I feel like there may have been lost time for maybe being happier earlier, I guess, if I would have accomplished it.
Well, here's the issue
Mm-hmm.
is repeating those mistakes.
Absolutely. Those are the mistakes I needed to make to grow and evolve in what I do and how I take care of things.
So if the time that you spent on making those poor decisions with poor results, however, if you learn from them, that was a nice education and a good investment of your time. However, if you continue to make those same poor choices, that time is absolutely squandered.
Absolutely. So anytime, I just had a bad time with this client or this job and it all fell apart, usually something outside of your control, right? And it's just like, well, now I know how to deal with that. That wasn't lost, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
So we all want to understand that our most valuable resource that we have in our life is our time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like there used to be a saying, buy land they're not making anymore. Okay. How about this one? Use your time wisely. They're not making anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm asking everybody out there to place themselves, and the old adage of live each day as if it were your last. Okay. What were you putting off in your life? If this was your last day, Mike, what would you be? Let's say if tomorrow was your last day, would you wake up tomorrow morning with a bit of a different perspective on your life?
Certainly.
Tell me some of the things that you'd do. Yeah, how you'd spend your time.
Well, this show might not get out in that context, although maybe it would, because at least I would have been delivering one last message.
Yeah.
But certainly a little more time.
Okay.
Touching base with the family and my wife and my mother, if that was the case.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So the people that are important to you, always let them know. Always let them know. How many people have regrets? Oh, gee, Uncle Joe died and I hadn't talked to him in over a year.
Mm-hmm.
Gee, I'm sorry that happened. I can't remember the last time I talked to them.
I was upset with my father for 3 months before he got sick. And by the time I had a chance to see him again, he had a tube in his throat. So that was a very, very hard thing for me.
Yes.
About the last voicemails I have are over actually an argument that we were having. So that's tough. That's tough.
Mike, resentments are probably the worst time squanders and time stealers that we have.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you can never get that time back. You can never get that time back. It's like working overtime at your job. You'll never get that time back.
Yeah.
So what do we work mainly for? We work so we can earn money to have what? Free time?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what are we doing with the free time? There is the return on the investment on overtime worth what you receive back in free time?
That's if you're getting overtime pay.
Yes.
Because some of us had salary and they were not. It became sticky.
That's correct.
But also there was a decision along with that. It says this is not the way I want to do things.
Yes.
And we're going to move on to something else.
Yes.
So
when people tell me I stayed in this job too long, and if they're still in that job, I'll say, shame on you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Shame on you. It's your life. And I know a lot of these Pollyannish type of statements about it's your life, live it. But nobody actually tells people, say, well, here's how to live your life.
Mm-hmm.
Here's how to make choices.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's one of the issues that we attempt to raise on this show with people is having the ability to make conscious choices. What do I know for sure? Let's check the facts. What's right in front of me? What do I know for sure? Let's check the facts. What's right in front of me? I ask people that over and over and over again, or they say, I'll ask them, can you control this outcome of this situation that you're complaining to me so bitterly about? Well, no, I can't. I said, then give me a reason that you're spending one molecule of energy or time on this. And most people say, I don't know. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You could make that choice. So I know that we talk a whole lot about time on this program. So if you ever want to go back through previous podcasts and hear about Kairos versus Chronos time, if you want to talk about Anglo time versus Islamic time, spending time as currency, some of those things, I would suggest in the search bar at the top of our webpage, all the searches you put those search words in.
Mm-hmm.
Kairos versus Chronos time, Islamic and Anglo time, time as currency, and just see what you come up with. Let's go down that rabbit hole. We've got over 280 of them.
That's right.
On this show. So, and I'm going to ask you at the end of this podcast, if you have any comments or questions, please contact us. If you have any helpful hints or helpful criticism, we'd certainly love to hear from you. And at the end of every podcast, we offer a free prescription. Fruits, nuts, and vegetables. Unplug your television and take up fishing. And for a truly mindful experience, we suggest you fish without bait. Forgive yourself and forgive another. Do a kindness for yourself and do a kindness for another. And I want to add that I recently read a statement by the Catholic Pope Francis, who stated that the greatest blasphemy to God, that the Creator, is to hate your brothers and sisters. Love yourself and love another. Till all are free, none are free. Namaste.
Please check out our website at fishingwithoutbait.com, where you can listen to the show, comment on our discussions, and find out where you can subscribe to our podcast. If you're interested in flying the colors of Fishing Without Bait, click the shop icon on our website. We have clothing, mugs, cell phone cases, and so much more. Show the world that you fish without bait. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.